over already, last over of the night, 6 balls with Gary Ballance on 97. He's given it a tremendous hammer. Gary Ballance in his second test match goes to 100.
Bravo, Stu. Brilliant. Some good memories there, Gaz.
Yeah, some very good memories. That was a nice video, Stu. Thank you.
So,
You're welcome, mate. Check in the post.
Gaz, I've scribbled down a load of notes there, but rather than it just being from me, guys on the call, what I'd love you to do is anything that pops into your mind, just please use the chat facility on the bottom of the screen there, just to type in any questions or comments, and I will try and keep an eye on them better than I did last week, just so that we can go through them and get some input from you guys out there on the call. So Gary, I mean, I'm going to go to the video first because that'll be fresh in people's mind. Then I'm going to go back to the questions I've already got, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Talk me through the no-look scoop. Was that, oh no, I've got this wrong, quick move your head?
Yeah, it was. I was hoping it was going to be a bit straighter, more on the leg stump line, but he might have seen me premeditate that and go a bit towards the offside. So I had to get my head out the way for me to access the ball. And yeah, luckily I got some bat on it, and it kind of went straight over the keeper's head. But there's definitely a bit of luck involved there.
Yeah, you look like a genius, and after it, when you see your mate in the middle, you're just saying, "Did you see how lucky I was then?"
Yeah, exactly.
Gary, it's a unique technique from what we just saw in the video there. I hope everyone's video played as clearly as mine did, but it's the fast hands that I've written down that I really, really like. Is that something you've always had in your game, or is that something you've developed?
I think I've had it from a relatively young age, but that doesn't mean I haven't worked on it a lot. It's something that I every winter, even during the summer, I practice quite a bit. Just getting the hands through the ball and getting that hand speed as quick as I can. It definitely helps to get more power into the shot. So yeah, it's definitely something that you can get better at, and it's certainly if you feel like you don't have great hand speed, you can work on it, and there are drills that you can do that can make it better.
Anything specific that you could describe verbally without having to get up and wreck your office that you've got at home there?
Just some quick feeds. So even if that's just underarm, playing the pull shot or cut shot, just really quick, continuous feeds where it's about 5-6 balls in a row, and just playing the shots as quick as you can. That's something that I do.
I'm assuming before you do that, though, the two things that are fundamental are your head will be in the right position and your balance will be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, it's not about hitting the ball as necessarily as hard as you can. It's like you say, still being in a really good position, a position that you'd play the shot in a game, getting into that good position, and then just getting your hands through the ball as quick as you can, and staying in that strong balanced position with your head kind of over the ball or towards the ball.
Brilliant. Some of those slog sweeps that we saw, and then I'm going to go back to Yorkshire's fantastic T20 season when Moeen Ashraf were bowling those heat-seeking Yorkers, and you had Mitchell Stark. You just seem to have the freedom you seem to be the king of batting that year. What clicked? What allowed you to play with that freedom?
I think the team we had was perfectly suited for not just myself, but the whole batting order was perfectly suited for everyone to play their individual ways. We had Joe Root, who could manipulate the field. Then we had Dave Miller and Johnny Bairstow in the middle order there, who could play the big shots. And then, I came in at the end, and because those guys had such a good platform. I could free my arms and play some shots. And also because we were such a young team, we didn't have anything to lose, and we could just go out there and enjoy playing 2020 cricket in front of a big crowd, and that's when you get the best out of yourself, is when you're having fun and enjoying the game.
That's a common theme on these calls. Have fun. And I've just written down there, passionate celebration. When you got to that landmark, you went nuts. That meant a lot, that one, didn't it? Was that a landmark, or was that is that how you always celebrate?
No, it's not. It's when I look back, I always think, oh, you've gone over the top there, because I'm generally a pretty chilled and quite quiet and a bit laid back. But yeah, I couldn't control the emotions, obviously, and it was such a great feeling that I just went a bit crazy.
No, I love it.
People have mocked me a bit for going that crazy, so I don't think I did it again for a while.
Love it. If it makes you feel any better, we had Brooksy on a few weeks ago who did the famous backdrop, so you're all right. He's still beating you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not in the same league as Brooksy when it comes to celebrations.
So I'm going to rewind the clock all the way back, Gaz, and go back to the questions now. So talk us through your route into professional cricket. So the whole Zimbabwe over. Just give everyone a bit of an overview of how it all came about.
Yeah, I was obviously born in Zimbabwe. I grew up on a farm there, so we had a cricket net and we had a lot of space to play cricket. So just from a young kid, I just constantly was batting or bowling or just playing cricket. And then I played in the Under-19 World Cup for Zimbabwe when I was 16. And then I'd always planned to move over here from a young age. And then straight after that World Cup, the 90 World Cup finished, I moved over to England to play club cricket in Derby. And I played a few second team games for Derbyshire, and I think I did all right. And then Derbyshire offered me a summer contract, so I had 2 years of having a summer contract at Derbyshire. Played a few first team games, and then when I was 18, Yorkshire offered me a contract. So obviously, Yorkshire being one of the biggest clubs in the country, it was I was never going to say no. So I moved up to Yorkshire when I was about 18, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
So you must have grown up pretty quick. Were you over here on your own at that point as a young 16, 17, 18-year-old?
Yeah, so I moved over when I was 16, and I had some distant relatives who I stayed with, but the rest of my family were still in Zimbabwe. So I had to learn to do a lot of things around the house that I hadn't a clue what I was doing before.
I bet it didn't do you any harm, though, did it?
No, it definitely kind of made me grow up a little bit in certain ways. Just have a bit of responsibility, but it was certainly good for myself.
Good. So having already played in a World Cup at the age of 16, was the international cricket fire burning in your belly from the word go? Was that like, I want more of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, at that Under-19 World Cup, there was a lot of good players and talented players, and from then I always wanted to play cricket in England, and I always thought about playing international cricket, but honestly, I didn't think it was going to be a possibility. But yeah, obviously, every step you make, you want to go that step higher. And when I started playing for Derby, I wanted to continue playing and keep improving. And then when I started doing well for Yorkshire, then I had an eye on playing for England. And fortunately, I got to play a few years for England, which was obviously a great achievement for me personally.
Yeah. So the first question in the box is, how did it feel to get picked for England, and how did you find out that you'd been selected?
I think, firstly, it was unbelievable feeling. Just it's like I said, I didn't think it was a possibility when I first moved over, but the more I played for Yorkshire, I thought there might be a chance. And when I got that phone call, it was just a great surreal feeling. I think I might have been in a Sainsbury's car park or something. I didn't end up going to do my shopping. I think I went straight home. But it was just brilliant feeling to get the call, and then playing that first Test match was, again, there's not many words that can describe it. The passion and how proud I was of playing for England.
Did the family come over to watch the debut?
Yeah, they did. It was in Australia, in Sydney. They were there for the few tests before, watching me carry drinks, and then fortunately, I think they played every other batter in the series, and they thought, oh, we'll give this guy a go. But it was brilliant. I'll certainly will never forget that Test match.
Who actually makes that phone call? Is it the skipper, the chairman of selectors? Who is it?
So the phone call to say that I was in the touring squad for the Ashes was Jeff Miller, who was the selector back then. And then just the day before the Test match, it was the captain, Alistair Cook, took me aside and said, "You're playing tomorrow. You'll be batting at 5, and good luck."
Brilliant. Awesome. Hector wants to know, who's the best batsman you've played with or against, and what made them so good?
Well, that's a good question.
There'll be some big names, Gary. Don't worry about name dropping. Fly through them.
I think probably Kane Williamson. I know I'm leaving out a few good players there, and leaving out the likes of Root and Cook and that. But I think Kane Williamson, he's played a few years at Yorkshire, and he was just unbelievable. His technique was as perfect as you can get, and his along with his mental ability was the best I've ever seen, and that's why he's just been so consistent for such a long period of time in all formats. His ability to change from Test cricket to one day to 2020 is brilliant. There's not many players who are that consistent over all 3 formats.
No, he seems like a very level character and a very good human, is what I always hear as well.
Yeah, he is. He's a top guy, and I think there's a lot that can be learned with how he carries himself on and off the field.
Brilliant. So you burst onto the scene at Yorkshire. You pop into the second team. I know you played a lot of league cricket as well, didn't you? So yeah. How did you find that? What, Yorkshire League, Barnsley, was it?
Yeah, I played for the academy for first, and then I played at Barnsley for a few years. That was good. A good club with a lot of good teammates. But it's just good to be able to play in different conditions around the county, against different opposition, and a good opportunity for me to learn my game and try and score as many runs as possible.
So I know a couple of people on this call actually played against you during that time. Stu, what was your memory of playing against a young Gary Ballance?
A while ago, but he certainly stood out. Obviously, again, sort of playing for the Yorkshire Academy, as there's always plenty of good youngsters there. But you sort of watched him. He was obviously a little bit different, but his hands were just unbelievable. How well he hit the ball, and it was effortless. I don't want to blow too much smoke up his backside, but thankfully he's gone on to do well, so he kind of can. And just how patient he was, really. It was, everything looked quite effortless, which is probably a bad thing to say, and it suggests that he hasn't worked hard at his game. But yeah, I just think his hands were just so incredible, and he just got the ball wherever he wanted to, really. And the ability to change gears as well, which you saw a little bit of in the video, that he could be quite patient to sort of 30 or 40, and then all of a sudden he'd get the ball to the boundary quite a few times, and he change through the gears really, really quickly. He always had a sort of cool and calm demeanour, and even as a youngster, that stood out. You kind of think, young lads coming through and playing for the academy, and even when he moved on to Barnsley, you think, a bit of pressure on him to score runs, and the academy people watching, is the coaching staff at Yorkshire looking at results and things, and you never really got that with him. It was always a really cool and calm head, which again stood out.
Good stuff. Gary, I'd love for us to tell us now that you actually took Wayners down in a game playing for Cat. Have you ever played against Wayners in the league?
Yeah, I'm sure I played against him back in the day, but I don't think I ever took him down. I don't think anyone's taken Wayners down at Cass.
I don't think they have. That you were my last hope. You were literally the last hope.
Nah, it's impossible.
Wayners, what are your memories of a young Gary, please?
Yeah, I mean, he was quite, like I said, he was young when he came to Yorkshire, but the first thing I really noticed was just how much time he had. So it's like all good players have time, but like for a young batsman, he's got a lot of time. And when I bowled him in net, it's a simple game plan against spin. When you see young batters, you expect them to get flustered. So touching on what Stu said, cool head and just a nice game, good game plan. And you're thinking you've got him under control, and then before you know it, he's ticked his way up to 30, 40, 50 in games. So, yeah, just the time thing. And then going back to, I think, me and Oliver and Dolby, good mates, Gary, me and Ollie would always be saying, like, when we were playing in test team, we're like, how's Gary not getting a go in these T20s? Because week after week, like you said, in that T20 season and before that when he was younger, memories of me looking back a bit. One end he'd have Western Terrace on leg side, he'd just cow him into it, and then he'd go down the other end. And one of the few batsmen I've seen been able to hit it over cover into Western Terrace. So he could hit sixes both sides, square at wicket, and they did it week in, week out in T20s. And you're like, wow, this is actually phenomenal. And me and Ollie just love sitting there, letting him do his thing, really. Try and get us a good score to defend. But yeah, all good stuff, really.
Cheers, Wayners.
No
That's
worries, guys.
big praise from two local legends there, Gaz.
Yeah, I know. Very nice to hear, guys. Thank you.
Gary, I like ones like this. You're gonna have to let a bit of gossip go here, mate. Who was the best? Who was the funniest person in the dressing room when you played for England?
Moeen Ali, very funny man. Yeah, just great humour, chilled out guy, but just hilarious. Everyone gets on with him, and he can. I don't know. I can't really say this, but he's very good at mocking people. That's putting it nicely.
I had him down as a very dry character, but it comes out of his shell when he's comfortable a bit.
Yeah, it does.
What's your favourite ground, and which country do you prefer to play in?
Probably two favourite grounds outside of England are the SCG in Sydney, and Newlands in Cape Town. Two very picturesque, beautiful grounds, and just nice places to play cricket. And then obviously over here is Lords is a special place to play.
What's the most you've ever played in front of? Australia, those stadiums are huge, aren't they?
Yeah, I played in the World Cup against Australia at the MCG. I think it was over 90,000. And yeah, the game didn't go too well. I think I might have dropped a catch, and yeah, those Aussies called me every name under the sun. Yeah, I can still picture it now. But playing at the MCG with the full crowd was a great experience.
Keeping it clean, what's the best sledge you've ever had and also heard?
I mean, the best one I've heard. Some of the younger lads might not get this, but I was batting with Adam Lyth against Australia in the Ashes, and David Warner came up with a shout that Lythy looked like Benjamin Button. That was very funny. I couldn't control myself at the non-striker's end. Myself, I haven't had many funny ones. Generally, when they come at me, it's normally that I'm looking a bit podgy. So if I've had a few, if I'm looking a bit round, then a few of the opposition get stuck into me about that. But yeah, I'm used to that now. That doesn't affect me at all.
Literally water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
So what advice have you got to the young'uns, Gaz? Because that's in a very public place. You're exposed. You're batting. There's only you at the crease, and you're copping it, and that's personal. You know your body. You know your image and your body weight. That's very personal. How do you blank that out and just concentrate on the game? Yeah,
it's not easy, but I've always said to myself that if they're chirping you, or if you're getting sledged, it means they can't get you out any other way. So they're trying to talk you out. So it's actually a good thing. So if you can turn a negative comment like that into a bit of a positive, and try not overthink it or take it personally, then you're winning. I've always done that my whole life, and I've never really let any sledging get to me. Like I said, just take it as if, well, if there's nowhere else, they're getting me out, so they're trying to talk me out.
And do you go back? Do you give any back, or are you a silent fielder?
I don't think I'm quick enough or witty enough to go back. I'd have to think of something overnight, or speak to one of the funny lads to make something funny for me. But yeah, it's normally just a bit of silence from me.
Golden. What were your aims and ambitions for cricket when you were younger? Was the end goal always professional cricket?
I think so. I think I always, throughout my growing up, I always wanted to be playing cricket when I was older. I just loved the game, loved everything about it. So I always wanted to be playing cricket professionally, I guess. Where and for who, I wasn't quite sure. But then as I got a little bit older, I thought, I wanted to come over to England and play, and I wanted to play county cricket. And fortunately, I got that opportunity, and like I said, fortunately, I was able to take the next step. But I've always loved the game and always wanted to play for as long as I can.
Any heroes that you admired when you were growing up, or anyone that you wanted to, you pick up a cricket bat and you pretend to be someone?
I think because I grew up in Zimbabwe, Andy Flower was the kind of the hero in Zimbabwe. He was at the peak during when I was young, and he was just a brilliant batsman in all formats. He had a bit of a unusual technique at times, and it was just good to watch. So I grew up trying to bat like him, and
that's good. It's not a bad role model to have, is it? Really, it was an incredible player. Brez gave a bit more insight as to what he was like as a coach, and I'm sure everyone's watched. Is it The Edge? And then the Test is the Australian one, isn't it? Yeah, The Edge. He's got a lot to do in that. Intense character, would you say?
Yeah, he is. He's a very intense character, but his knowledge of the game is just next level. The way he can deliver his thoughts is just brilliant, and the way he speaks about cricket is not many around like that. And I certainly learned a lot from him when I played for a few months, and when he was coach of England, and then I've been on a few tours where he was the England Lions coach. So I've learned a lot from him.
Good. Now, when you went with England, did anything change with you? I know you'd amassed all these runs. There was this unbelievable talent, these hands that we all know about. Did England try and change anything with you?
No, not really. There was firstly, when I went to the England Lions, they definitely didn't. They were, they encouraged you to play how you played and how you scored your runs before. So I was certainly encouraged to do that. there was obviously a lot of technical areas that I could work on. So they tried to help me improve in those areas. And there was I mean, at one point when I went through a bit of a rough patch, they did say some things that I had to be better at, not necessarily change much, but I had to be better at certain things. And that was quite tough to take. Obviously, I'd played for 7-8 years professionally, and I'd played a certain way, and I scored runs a certain way. So to be told I had to do things a little bit differently was quite difficult to take. And I did try that, and I scored less runs. So I got rid of that quickly.
Did you? I remember your body shape changing quite a lot. Did you consciously lose weight when you went with England, or is that just something that happens when you go in that England environment and everything's controlled? Or did you work harder on your fitness because it was international?
No, I think I was probably just a young lad, and I didn't really take much to fitness or the gym, but certainly as I kind of started playing England Lions, I realized that I needed to be a bit better in that department, and I certainly worked a lot harder in that. And I knew if I wanted to go and score runs in places like India, Sri Lanka, where it's can be near on 40 degrees, I have to be fit. So yeah, I just started working harder in the gym and with my fitness.
Nice. I wasn't going to ask this, Gaz, but I'm feeling brave. So this is from Seb. So I've named and shamed him. Do you have any regrets from when you played for England?
The only regrets I have is taking some of the media and social media personally. I don't even have social media, but I'd see through friends what people were saying about me, and then when it comes to the media, they're just everywhere. After a day's play, before a day's play, newspapers, Sky, it's just everywhere, and they do, as well, not just myself, but a lot of other England players have found quite tough, as they do, once they start criticising and they don't hold back, they can get very, I would say, negative at times. And I wish I hadn't taken that personally, because at the end of the day, that's all they're trying to do is get people to listen to them. When you speak to Nasser Hussain or Botham or Gower away from the TV camera, they're saying completely different things to you than what they're saying in front of the camera. So if I could go back now as a bit more older, a bit more experienced, I wouldn't take that so personally. I just take it on the chin, and I'd back myself a bit more to be able to get through the tough patches and come outside on the other end.
Unfortunately, there's no training for that, though, is there? That is just something that you've got to get used to very quickly once you're in that environment. Yeah,
exactly. And you're right. There's no training for it. You've got to be mentally very tough. And at the end of the day, it's only going to get harder because there's more and more social media out there. So you really do have to be mentally tough and be able to block out any of that noise.
Good advice. What's the difference in the atmosphere between county and international games?
I think firstly, there's obviously bigger crowds. And then, during the game, it's just more intense. County cricket's, it's definitely intense anyway. There's some very good players around, and it's tough to do well on that. But the next step up, you have obviously international players, and there's pressure on every single moment of the match. So there's no chance to relax. There's so many more eyes on you. TV cameras, bigger crowds, so there really isn't any time to relax, and you've got to be on it the whole time. And then when you go to places like Australia and India, you feel on the boundary, you're constantly getting heckled, and yeah, so you've got to be concentrating the whole time.
Did you get recognised more? Did you feel like people, if you were in a restaurant or if you were in a bar or just walking down the street, did you feel like people were always on at you? Could you ever just be alone and just you?
I think I was quite lucky because I was hung around with people like Joe Root and Ben Stokes, name dropping there, but they're quite distinctive looking characters and big names. So if anyone ever recognized them, they'd go to them, and I'd be able to sneak back around the corner and go alone. So I don't get recognized too much, maybe in odd nights in Headingley, but I think generally everyone's very, very friendly and nice.
They've got to be level-headed, these players these days. Everyone's got a camera on them and they're just waiting for something out there. It's a different game now.
Yeah.
Did you play any other sports as a kid, Gaz, or were it always just cricket?
No, I played all sports from rugby, tennis, golf, hockey. I just, fortunately, my parents just encouraged me to play all sports, just get involved in as many sports as I could, and I just loved playing any form of sports and played as much as I could.
Yeah, which important, all-rounded athletes. Quickest bowler you've ever faced?
Probably Mitchell Johnson. I think if going on the speed gun, I think there's been people who have bowled quicker, but just his action was quite hard to pick up, and you kind of left arm, you kind of lost it for a bit before he came over. And then he was just the one series I faced him. He was just so accurate. If you wanted to hit you on the head, he did. And he hit me on the head once in my first innings. So yeah, that was tough to face, but he was really quick, and like I said, his bouncer was near on impossible to get out the way.
There was no respite in that attack, was there, for you? It was either him bowling his left arm rockets, or you were constantly under the pump from the other end anyway. There was no respite at all.
No, there wasn't. That bowling attack was really good, and so hard to score runs. And when he wasn't on, it was Siddle or Harris at the other end. So they were two very good bowlers as well.
Accurate. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? I want one from a colleague, as in a cricketer, and one from a coach, please.
From a coach is probably Dave Houghton. He tried to emphasize that that a need to back yourself as much as possible. I think it's really important, and I've lived by that for most of my career, is just being able to back myself. You're going to go through tough times as a cricketer. Whatever is batter bowl or whatever it is, you're going to go through tough times, and it's being able to back yourself through those tough times, and you will get out of the come out the other end all the better for it.
How do you do that, Gaz? Do you train? Do you just get away from the game? How do you do it? What advice have you got for the kids of how to do that?
I think everyone's different, but personally, I've always been someone who likes to hit a lot of balls. So I like to practice a lot, whether I'm scoring runs or I'm not scoring runs. I hit a lot of balls, so I try and feel as good as I can in practice. I know that I'm doing everything I can in practice, and that so when I do come out to the middle, I can make no excuses. If I get a good ball, I get a good ball. I can't say, I didn't work hard enough this week, or I didn't hit enough balls. So I've always tried to do that throughout my career. And I feel like it's worked well for me, especially when going through tough times.
Nice. And best advice from a fellow player?
I don't know if I can specifically think of a time.
Are you a sponge? Do you watch other people in the nets? Do you pick little things up?
Yeah, I do. I love watching other players, and whether it's Joe Root or one of the young lads in the academy, I feel like there's always an opportunity to look at someone and get something from their game to transfer to myself. So I try and do that all the time. I played a lot with like Joe Root and watched him bat a lot, and I've tried to take things from his technique and his mental side of the game, and just trying to try to replicate that. So he's definitely been helpful in that regard.
Good. Very fortunate to grow up at the same time. Favorite type of bowler to face, spin or seam?
If we're in India, then it's definitely seam, and if we're in England, then it's spin. But yeah, I enjoy facing both. Obviously, like I just said, it depends on the conditions. If you in April at Headingley facing a good seam or swing bowler, it can be very tough. So you do hope to find a way of getting through those tough times, and then when a spinner comes on, you can cash in and make the most of that. And then it works like that in India as well. You try and get through the tough times against the spin, and then try and make the most when the seams come on.
Who's the best spinner you've ever faced, guys? At home or away, even if it's in their backyard? Who have you struggled against spin wise?
I've always found Nathan Lyon really tough. He's conventional off spinner, but he bowls at a really good pace. Very good pace. He's able to get the ball up and down, and gets a lot of top spin on the ball as well. So facing him in Australia was tough. Gets a lot of bounce. So it's quite hard to play sweep, slog sweep. And you always feel like that bounce is in the game for the slips and the short leg.
Yeah, he's accurate as well, and he's always at you.
Yeah, that's what I find about the best spinners. The best spinners who have the ability to turn it, but they're just constantly at you and never bowl any bad balls.
Winners. That is winners.
Yep.
This is a random one, but is it true? Wikipedia says you're colourblind. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Right.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I struggled a bit with a pink ball. So for me, the pink ball can sometimes be the same colour as the grass or the seats, or same colour as the pitch. So when I'd face up, out the hand would see it fine, but then could lose it sometimes on the wicket, and then see it again. It's mainly bad during the twilight period when we were playing those day night 4-day games. Yeah. But fortunately, we haven't played one for a few years. Hopefully, they get rid of that in county cricket.
Just decide that were a bad idea and leave it.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. I like this one. If Yorkshire could sign anyone for next season, who would it be? And I promise Lev won't edit this to make it look like you've just leaked something either. So yeah, if you could sign anyone, who would it be?
Local or overseas?
Your choice. Go for it. Yeah.
I think it would be Kane Williamson. I think he would score a lot of runs. And someone who can score. If you can score a lot of runs, get the runs on the board, we'd have the bowling attack to be able to take 20 wickets.
Like it. Let me just get my head around this one. Have there been any parts of your techniques that really changed how you bat, which felt weird but really helped your game?
I've tried changing my grip. So this is something that I've tried over the last few years is instead of just holding my grip the one way, I change it depend on who I'm facing or what pitch I'm playing on. So, for example, if I'm playing at Headingley in April when the ball's seaming a bit, I might just widen my grip a little bit so I can get a bit more control on the bat. At first, it felt a bit different, but now that I'm used to it, it feels normal because I practiced with it so much.
Right. Again, something that you probably wouldn't assume that you'd do. But would you say that you'd mastered your own technique before trying things like that out, Gaz, or was that something you'd advise to do from the off now?
No, yeah, absolutely. I'd mastered my own technique, and I'd found the best way of playing for myself before I tried anything else. Right from the beginning, even up until last year's, tried to keep it as simple as I can. And then, once I was happy with that, then I tried little things that might help me get a bit better.
Perfect. Hector, I'm going to come to you in a minute because I want to know what your answer is. But Hector wants to know, what age did you get your first century?
I think I was about 10.
Wow. And this is in a game, not in the garden with the brothers.
This is in a game. Yeah, I don't know what it's like now, but growing up in Zimbabwe, we were allowed to bat for as long as we can. They weren't retiring anyone back then, so I'm not sure if it's like that over here. But yeah, fortunately, I could go for as long as I like.
Nice. Hector, have you scored one yet? When we all first one?
I've not got one yet.
Yet. I like that. Yet.
Yes.
Season's
Hopefully
coming.
next season.
Absolutely. Gaz, biggest six that you've hit?
Most of them just go over the road. Wow. I think maybe in South Africa where the high altitudes of the ball travels a bit further, so probably hit. I might have hit a few there that look bigger than they actually were.
It don't matter, mate, does it? They've only got to go for. They've only got to clear rope.
Yeah.
As we know. Aims for the future, just coming from Murph. Have you got any burning ambitions, Gaz? Anything you've not achieved that you want to?
Well, I'd like to at least play for another 5 years. Play at Yorkshire, finish my career at Yorkshire would be nice. Hopefully win a title or a few titles. That would be a great way to finish. And then in the future, who knows? Possibly get into coaching in some form. I think just because like I've mentioned before, I do love playing and love all aspects of the game. So coaching would be an opportunity to stay involved in that.
Absolutely. How old are you now, Gaz?
31.
31. So yeah, 5 years easy. You were a part of the double champo winning effort by the club. How special was that? Do you think anything like that will ever be repeated?
I think that's obviously possible, but it is really hard, as it proved. Afterwards, teams go through transitions really quickly, and it's hard to stay at the top for a long period of time. But I think the team that we've got at Yorkshire certainly is that we do now, that have got a lot more experience, along with guys who have played in championship winning teams. So I think there's an opportunity for Yorkshire to do that next few years. Hopefully we can. But yeah, it's hard to stay at the top for a long period of time, as I said before.
Yeah. Are you seeing the perfect storm coming again with the youth and the drive mixed with the experience of the likes of yourself and Pato? The perfect blend just coming together at the right time, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've made some good signings as well with David Milan last year and then Don Best this year. So got a couple of good signings there, and then the young lads have got another year under their belt. They're more experienced. They've played in tough conditions, so that they're all the better for that. And then the young lads are coming through and performing now. So I think we'll see more of that this year.
Would you take a white ball trophy or the club's first one for a long time, or another Champo?
I think I'd take another Champo. Yeah, it would be nice to be involved in a white ball trophy. Obviously, been to finals there a couple times the last kind of 8 years, but I think if you had to pick one, it would be a Champo.
Yeah, but you can't wait for crowds to come back either, can you? Get that atmosphere pumping again. Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be good to get back to a big 2020 crowd and playing in front of a lot of people. It's been a while.
Links to Rowan's question of what's it like when you're facing a bowler and there is a huge crowd, when you're surrounded by a huge crowd. Obviously, the noise, nobody's sitting still, and you've got to focus on one guy running in at you.
Yeah, I think when you just concentrate and you're really focused, is when you're facing up, you literally can only focus on the bowler and that ball. I think when you get to the non-strikers end, that's when you can have a look around the crowd, see what people are doing, just to take your mind off it, give your mind a bit of a break, and then as soon as you're back facing again, you're back on it. You're back thinking of what's the bowler going to bowl, how's he trying to get me out, how am I going to play him, all that kind of stuff. And then you play that ball, and then you get back up and get focused again to face him.
Nice. So without COVID, Gary, what would a typical winter's training day look like for you?
Probably start training at about 9. Would go in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Would have a bit of a break, maybe an early lunch, and then would go in the nets for a few hours. If I had it my way and I had someone who could throw at me for 3-4 hours, then I'd bat for that long. But I think I'd injure a few coaches if they had to do that. So luckily this winter we've had a few of the guys in the call who've been throwing plenty of balls at us, so that's been nice. But I like to bat as long as possible in a net session.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Greeny sat there in his light. How's the shoulder, Greeny? How's it been being in and around the environment with these guys, side arming hour after hour after hour?
Yeah, well, thankfully it's just eased off a bit recently now. The bowlers are bowling again, but in January, start of February, it was painful. But yeah, obviously I've done quite a bit to Gaz, and it's incredible how simple he's kept everything. Just to back up what Wayne said about how he goes about playing his game, exactly the same in training as well. Every single ball has a purpose. And I was just talking to Paul Grayson a few weeks back when we were side arming him, and we both says we could probably side arm him all day here, and we don't like getting him out. And I think that just shows that how he works in training probably does reflect on how you see him in a game as well.
So with that, Gary, with Greeny saying he could sat at him all day and you don't feel like he's going to get you out, is that something you'll set your stall out for in training? I'm not going to get out this session, or I'm going to try and replicate that part of a game. All right, we've just gone in it. We're 20 for 2. I need to get us through to lunch, and you set your stall out. Do you play those little mind games with yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important that when you practice properly, because it does transfer into the game. If you practice in and thinking, it doesn't matter what shot I play, I won't do it in the game, then it's not going to work like that. So I try and to, whatever I'm doing, whether it's facing a bowler or going on the bowling machine, is to make sure I know exactly what I want to be doing in that session, and practice as best as I can, so that when it does come to the game, I'm ready for it, and I've worked on everything. So, like I said, I can't make any excuses when it comes to game time.
When did you learn to train like that and be that clear with your intent when you do go to training? Because That is a very professional outlook. Did that take time to come, or did you just have that in you?
I think it took time to get better at, but I just loved batting, and I, as much as I loved batting, I hated getting out. I hated giving the satisfaction to a bowler in the nets or a coach of getting me out. So I think just as simple as that, as always or never wanting to give your wicket away, whatever age that was. I've just tried to have that mindset and just tried to bat as long as I can.
Good advice. If you could change,
can I just jump in on that, Bryce?
Absolutely.
Would it affect you up morning of a game if somebody nicked you off in nets? Because we had Brookie on last week who said he's not going to net before on the morning of a game next season whatsoever. How are you with sort of netting the day before or on the morning of the game? Does it affect you? Have you learned to deal with getting out of morning and it not affecting your game that day? Go on.
I think I've learned to deal with that, but certainly when I was a bit younger, sometimes I could get upset if I nicked off in the nets before the game. But I think it just depends where you play. You know, if we're at Headingley and you get in the nets at 9 o'clock on an April morning, it's a bit cold, it's a bit wet. You know, you're probably going to get out then, so it might affect how you feel going into the game. So I think it's just being a bit open-minded about how you prepare before the game. It's quite hard to go a certain way, and then if something, if there's no facilities or something like that, can affect your routine. But that's the thing with batting, is whether it's in the nets or in a game, you're gonna get out throughout the course of the summer. You're gonna get out quite a few times. It's been able to look at how you got out, learn from it, and then move on to your next innings as quickly as possible.
Best advice ever. You are going to fail more than you succeed. Stu, Greenie and Wayners, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So you've all been in training with the first team, helping out, which has been brilliant for everyone. What's the biggest thing you're going to bring back to your one-to-one clients and the JPP group and all the courses that we run? Is there anything that you've seen that you're going to think, right, I'm definitely taking that to the pro coach guys?
So you'll know yourself, Brycey, over years, we've run quite very high intensity sessions, and just by seeing how some of the pros go about it, so it probably is a bit more relaxed, a bit more laid back than what we get over in Cricket Centre. So I think the discussions, what they have, and just the downtime and the reflection time, I think we need to bring that in a little bit more. So I think that's one of the main things I'm going to bring back to pro coach.
Good. Stu, just before you answer, just on that, Gary, Greenie's word reflection there, a lot of the guys that we've spoke to have training diaries or journals. Have you got anything like that where you document things that either go well or go poorly for you?
I just have it's in my head. So I think if I forgot about what I'd done well or what I'd done badly the week before, then I would write it down. But I think just for me, it's always in my head. I'm always thinking about what I've done well, what not so well, what I can get better at. So I'm always thinking about it. But if it helps you to have a little diary or something to write on, just to keep you focused on that, then go for it. But again, everyone's different, and I found that's worked for me. So I've just tried to keep it like that.
Perfect. Stu, over to you.
Yeah, I think really just reinforcing a lot of what we do already, which is sort of promoting individuality. It is an incredibly relaxed feel around the place with the pros, which is great and probably reaps more rewards than maybe sort of making things too intense. But I think really encouraging players to understand themselves and understand the game as well as possible, which again, I think we do quite a bit of that already. But from Gary's perspective, having sort of had a short stint at him and how much time he has to play the ball. I think that's something that probably comes with a lot of batting, and again, sort of touch on sort of making it look very easy, which is not a good thing to say, because it sort of suggests he's not working hard. And I think from a batting perspective, encourage the guys to sort of look to play it late. I think that's something that tends to only come at the elite level, in my experience. You don't see enough young players sort of working really hard and playing it late. I think when you watch Gary in the nets, that's certainly something that he does exceptionally well. I think that's certainly something that we can probably try and encourage at a younger age, to try and challenge the younger end to sort of play the ball a little bit later rather than a little bit earlier and a little bit anxious and going hard at the ball.
Awareness?
I think interesting sort of sessions I've seen have been just watching people's sort of how they are in each session. So we've had little groups coming in, and groups of 4, and how young individuals act in a session. They'll be completely different. Older heads, you might get some who are quiet, some who are outspoken. But I think what Gary said about the self-belief, it's trying to instill that into each player we have without sort of setting you up for a fall, making you believe you're better than you might be at that stage and pumping your tyres up. More than right. If you believe that you're going to do well and perform well, you're halfway there, really. I mean, an example of different individuals was the 2 leg spinners. So Josh, who we've had on here, he wanted to practice bowling at a left-hander, but he only had a right-hander down the other end in his bubble. So he said to the right-hander, can you just shape up as a left-hander for a few balls? So he needed that visual. Whereas Rash came in and he just turned around to the coach and said, even though it's a right-hander, I'm going to pretend he's a left-hander for 4 balls here, and bowled him 4 down leg side. Whereas for Rash, being relaxed, he could deal with that. If Josh, I think, had bowled a few down leg side, that might have upset his day, thinking, even though it's how he thinks and his thought process. So everyone's different. There's no one way to reach the highest level that you're capable of. So it's trying to instill that, as Stu said, individuality, but we've got to try and unlock your keys almost. So, trying to really look into that a bit more.
Cracking. Gary, just picking up what Stu said there about playing the ball late, that is absolutely crucial for your technique in it. The way you punch the ball with that bottom hand and then fast hands, if you go too early, you're in trouble, aren't you? Is there anything you could, because we always say play it late, wait for the ball, play it under your eyes. Have you done anything specifically to help with that, or is that something you're good at naturally?
Yeah, I think I was fortunately quite good at that naturally, but I think there are ways of getting better at it. For me, it's trying to get my head over the ball, and then everything else comes with it. I think again, everyone's going to be different in terms of that, but I always work on getting my head over the ball, and then certain drills on the machine where I I can put some cones around me, and the ball, I have to hit it, and the ball has to bounce before the cones. That's probably the best drill to help with playing it late. But yeah, again, everyone's different, and but for that is I really work on my head position and trying to get it as close to the ball. And when I do that, then naturally playing it late, I naturally play it late from there.
Sounds very simple. Last couple, mate. If you could change one thing in the game, what would it be?
It's a good question. Just think for me on an international level, watching cricket now, I feel like some of the test series aren't long enough. There's a lot of, especially you watch the New Zealand Australia series, or I think New Zealand are coming over here, and it's 2 test series. You've got one of the best teams in the world in New Zealand, great to watch, against England, who play some good cricket. They're going to play 2 tests against each other. I think for young kids growing up, you want to be, not just young kids, but anyone watching cricket wants to watch the best go at each other for a long period of time. So I hope they find a way of lengthening those test series.
The scheduling's mental, and did you struggle at all with that when you're with England? Because I'm assuming if you're not training, you're travelling, you're in hotels a lot, you've got the press conferences to do. Was it hectic? Was that treadmill? Was that daunting?
It wasn't actually. I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed staying in hotels and traveling and playing at different grounds around the world. But yeah, we're always prepared, so we always had really good chance to practice. Fortunately, when you play for England overseas, there's a lot of net bowlers, so there's a lot of people who want to come and bowl at you. Especially in India, you can have 50 net bowlers waiting to bowl at the England players. So you can literally bat for a day. So yeah, I always really enjoyed it. And never felt it to be daunting at all.
Good. Last one, mate. If you could go back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself? Let's say 12-year-old, roughly around there. Cricket related.
Yeah. I enjoyed it anyway, but I'd make sure I enjoyed it even more and just got stuck in. Whether that was practice or playing, I just got stuck in and made the most of it. Because I think that enjoyment of obviously I had the enjoyment of playing, but even
leave it, stay there. Look. Actually, drink. You need to drink your drink. Put it there. Look.
Can you just mute you, Nico? Can you just mute, please? Sorry, Gary.
That's all right. I think not just the enjoyment of playing, but having the enjoyment of practicing, is really important for anyone at any age.
Brilliant, Gary. That has been one of the quickest hours I've had this week. Thank you very much for giving up your time. Very much appreciated. Some very honest answers there, mate. So good to hear. Thank you.
No worries, Brycey. Thanks for having me. Hope everyone goes well for the season.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, Brycey.
Thanks, Gaz, mate. Brilliant. Absolutely top draw.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
Speak to you soon.
You too, mate. See ya.
Bye.
Wayners. See ya, Greenie.
See
See you
you
guys.
Cheers, guys.